Okay, do you want to share screen and take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you. Hopefully you can all see that. Yeah, well, thank you so much for the invite to come and join in on this. It's really super fun. Yeah, just really appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about our work. Um, so the work that I want to talk about is kind of an integrated ecology project that was focused on minke whales down on the Antarctic Peninsula, which is that part of Antarctica that sticks up towards South America. And on this photo, it kind of gets at two major aspects of what we're trying to do, right? So this is us actually approaching a minke whale from a small boat with a motion sensing tag on the end of a carbon fiber pole, and the goal is to try and place that tag on the back of that animal. Those tags are you guys are probably all familiar with them. They have accelerometers and gyros, and they allow us to essentially reconstruct the movements of the animal after it leaves the surface, right? And now we're starting to combine technologies that allow us to really, sort of understand the roles that these animals are playing in this environment. We take imagery from the drone to be able to measure the size of the animals and couple that with their movements and then details on the prey field that we collect from echo sounders to try and understand how the animals are foraging, how their prey responds to those events. And essentially for minke whales, we're really interested in how they make a living and avoid getting eaten by killer whales in this place. So it's a really cool study that's focused on the links between these animals and sea ice in fjords in the Western Antarctic Peninsula. So, um, and I guess I want to kind of just maybe show you some photos, not necessarily of maybe the best photos that we have, but photos that speak to me a little bit about the work and hopefully will get you inspired. I think the first thing that I have to do is actually just say that it's not just me that's doing this work, right? And so here's my photo op to show you the group of people who have helped, as we've developed these projects and have worked in my lab over time. And so we have a lot of folks here on the screen, and I don't have enough time to go through and tell you about all of them. I wish I did. They're all fantastic people, but I want you to note that every one of them is smiling and they are having so much fun. And this job that we have, where we are using new technology to try and understand how animals make a living, how we are affecting them, is such rewarding work. And so I have deep appreciation to all these people who have helped our lab work in these places. The particular project that I'm talking about is a collaboration between some folks at Stanford and at UC Santa Cruz, and I have another photo that kind of gets at that relationship here. So here we are. I think this is going to be a band cover for our new band called Spill Control Kit. But the center person there is Ari Friedlander, who's a professor at UC Santa Cruz, expert in tagging. Jeremy Goldbogen is in blue on the right there, works at Stanford, and his lab is essentially writing the book on whale kinematics, as we speak. And then there's little me on the left-hand side there. And this gives you a sense of what it's like to live on an NSF ship for about 5 weeks at a time and get a little crazy. So that's the people, right? Lots of people involved. And when we think about this technology, ultimately it comes down to the folks that are building it, deploying it, and then using these incredible systems to be able to study the data that come out. We'll switch to some photos, and this is one of those photos that's kind of like the dream for anyone who's trying to teach anatomy of marine mammals, right? Flying over these whales, and here the whales are side by side, one's inverted, and now you could actually talk to students about both sides of the animal, dorsal and ventral. But it also kind of gets at the idea that sometimes the animals are trying to tell us about what's happening. And so if you look at the extension of the animal's pectoral flipper, it's actually pointing down to a motion sensor tag that's been placed on the other humpback whale. And it's almost like that whale was saying, hey, you guys, your tag is right here. And so it's these kinds of things that are these sort of magical things that you don't think are going to happen when you're out in the field. And having this amazing technology to be able to visualize these things can really be inspirational and also really helpful in what we're thinking about doing things like just teaching about these animals. And so the animals, I think they have a lot to say about things when we see them in these photos. And so here's another photo. It's a humpback whale again. And I think maybe one of the things that Wild Labs might be interested in doing is doing like a caption this photo contest. Maybe you've done one before, but there's a lot of opportunity, I think, in the photos, even the other ones that we've seen today, that might be a really fun thing to do. But I always imagine this whale is sort of, coming by and then kind of points over at our engine and says, "Turn that thing off because it's loud." And I feel like this is, again, one of those amazing opportunities to be able to use an image to be able to drive home something that's important for marine mammals and other animals, and thinking about how we interact with them. So anyways, another example where maybe the animals are speaking to us, and certainly speaking to me about these things. And then maybe sometimes it's just they just want a belly rub or something, right? Like maybe it's maybe that's the next thing, or like, look how proud I am of all the krill that I've eaten, in the past 3 weeks. But this is kind of a really great way to capture one of these really magical moments where an animal spends maybe an hour just kind of exploring the area around us and watching what we do, and maybe learning a little bit more about what we're doing while we learn more about what they're doing. So yeah, and you guys probably have seen this photo. This is one of the ones that is sort of really captures this whole bubble net feeding thing for humpback whales, and I really I love this thing. The context for taking this photo was quite amazing. We were probably 200 kilometers offshore, well south of the Antarctic Circle, and just came across these animals that were bubble feeding like this, and the conditions were perfect. We're able to fly and get out, and this, it really sort of captures that lunge at the end. So this humpback whale's pointing straight out of the screen towards you, and this buddy at the top there is sort of sealing off any escape avenues those krill might have had if they were trying to escape that way. And this photo has been used by a lot of folks. I guess I should say that for our photos, we actually let people use them. We publish them with a Creative Commons license. So if people are interested in using these for teaching or anything that they need, just reach out and let us know. Everything is publicly funded, and we want to make sure that we can share those with people so that they can use them effectively for their own work. This is one of those cool photos too that lets you know that you really got it into the big time. So this book showed up last week, and we're actually now in Ripley's Believe It or Not, the latest edition, where they used that photo to talk about the, I guess, maybe somewhat hard to believe idea that these whales are using bubble nets to be able to forage. And I didn't realize this, but now when I look at this slide, it kind of has this weird optical illusion. Let me know if you're getting that same thing, but it's like that middle ball on the right hand side there is sort of spinning slowly. It's kind of interesting, but this is how you made it the big time, right? You're in Ripley's Believe It or Not. And I want to, I guess, maybe end with this photo in terms of the photo stuff. And this photo really captures what we were trying to do in that minke whale project. So the stuff I showed you was with our opportunistic works with humpback whales, which are very charismatic and easy to take good pictures of. Minke whales are really elusive, and they're hard to work with in a lot of cases, but this photo is amazing to be able to capture this social group of animals. And if you look closely, you'll see that 4 of those 5 animals have our tags on them. And those tags are recording all their movements underwater. They have hydrophones on them, and cameras as well, right? And so now we're able to actually visualize the social aspects of these animals as they're spending their time in these fjords in the Antarctic Peninsula, feeding on krill and avoiding killer whales, which is what they're built to do. So I'm excited to see. I'm watching all these photos rolling in, and it's so cool to be able to see how people are using technology, and I'm hoping that in the future we'll be able to contribute more in that area as well as our work continues on. I want to kind of finish up quickly and just put up a couple plugs in for things. One of the things that we're doing more now is trying to train people to use drones in this particular instance. And we have a new online course series that's starting in October, that's focused on essentially training people to use drones for science. And so sort of building this idea of having a scientist pilot, right, as a kind of a career. And so it's split into 3 different courses. That first course is an introduction, where really the idea is to drive home how people might be able to apply drones in their work, and expose them to some applications, but also basics like how does energy and information flow through a drone? Why does it even fly? And kind of getting them to the place where they would be able to start thinking about using them in their work. The second course is an operational course, and it's focused on getting people to the point where they can actually fly, be certified, but also collect, do their flights in a way that allows them to be able to collect robust data, which is different than just getting your Part 107 or any of the other certifications that you can get around the world. And then that final course is a quantitative analysis. In this case, we work with virtual machines, and students log in and they're able to work with data, their own data as well, and essentially take them through an array of different sort of activities, looking at habitat changes, doing population estimates, health and behavior, and ecosystem relationships. So as a way to try and sort of put that plug in there a little bit deeper too, one of the things that we've done in the course is really built in the gamification components of it. So working with our Duke Learning Innovation folks, most of the assessments in the class are actually games or activities, including a series of kind of choose your own adventure things that we do to help people make mistakes before they actually do them in real life. And we're building a Discord server that's persistent but allows for community building, and has an entire sort of learner engagement and an economy system built in it to reward people for sort of excelling in their learning activities. Last thing I want to say is we're also hiring. So right now I'm trying to hire a postdoc, and I'm trying to hire a drone analyst and a pilot, and it is really hard to hire people these days. It is amazing how challenging this process is. So if anyone out there in this group knows of folks that are looking for jobs, send them our way, because we really need help. The picture that I'm showing you is the new drone lab space that we have on main campus, and so we're looking for people to come and work with us here and start building out some new things. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there and just leave you with one final picture here. This is a picture of me and probably in my most favorite habitat. This is on an ice floe offshore south of the Antarctic Circle, and I'm scooping seal poop with a giant dustpan. This is really all about me right here. So this speaks volumes, and so you've gotten to know me a little bit better now just through this photo. So anyways, thanks again for the opportunity, and happy to take any questions if I have time.
Oh, thank you so much. That was incredible. And just from what people were saying in the chat, I think it's agreed. Carly, did you want to ask your question? Oh, you're on a bus. Can you tell me if you can't ask the question? I'm assuming you're on a bus. So Carly was just wondering that there was quite a few comments in the chat around the online course for scientific use of drones. And she was just wondering if there's any funding opportunities to potentially cover some of the cost of the course for students, underrepresented minorities, those from the Global South. Are there any opportunities like that available, do you know?
Yeah, so right now we're actually trying to develop those. This is kind of new for us, and we do have, we'll have a scholarship. We're going to run this every year, so it starts in October and runs all the way through to April. Awesome. And so next year we'll have a scholarship set up for folks in the Southeast US that's part of the Ocean Observing System. But the next step for us is to start to generate those kinds of funding opportunities so that people can make it from places where, it's hard to. And being all online, it's a really great opportunity to be able to connect with those people, right? And think about education at scale. So accessibility and scale are like top on our list.
I would love to I'd love to learn more or hear, have some case studies if you guys, the group that you're collaborating with at Duke around gamification of learning. It would be great to hear not just about the drones and the the course, but actually how you're structuring it and the stuff, the thought process that's going along with that as well. So if you have some time, I'm sure you're quite busy, but
I'd be, yeah, no, I'd be happy to, and I can actually connect you with the people who do it, which are fantastic. Yeah, you want to talk to them, not me, for sure.
I would like, yes, please do connect us. Okay, we have 1 minute left. And I love that all of our speakers have taken the opportunity to ask for things. I would also say if anyone wants to support the course with funding or partner with DJ and the group, I would say reach out. That's a good opportunity.